Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Regular season for the Minnesota Vikings, 14 victories, 8-1 at home. That includes giving London fans a winning show. And now the playoffs, and the Los Angeles Rams welcome. This is X's and O's with Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell. And a pertinent question to begin festivities. First of all, good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys. This is awesome.
Congratulations on the outstanding regular season. Sorry the way it ended, but that's okay. Now we move on to a different season, and a season that involves the postseason beginning for the Minnesota Vikings at SoFi in Los Angeles, where Kevin coached. Now, okay, the Super Bowl was there when you won it. The NFC title game was there when you won it. I remember watching that game and seeing all those 49er fans.
Yeah.
And they were loud too. Holy cow. And it was a spine tingler for a game. You guys got the money, went to the Super Bowl and won it. Hey. Now, but the first one was at SoFi too, and I had forgotten.
Yep.
Where you had Arizona.
Yep.
All right. So now the pertinent question is, what is SoFi like for a playoff game that is not one step from the Super Bowl? You know what I'm saying? And I bring it up simply because this is not a rip at the Southern California market. Shoot, I went to high school and junior college there and went and watched the Rams at Anaheim Stadium, coached by John Robinson. God rest his soul. It's a wonderful sports market, but SoFi is known for infiltration, for fan bases coming in and being louder than the Rams fans. Do you recall that being the case in the playoffs?
Yeah, definitely the NFC Championship game. We were on the silent cadence the whole day.
Oh, wow. At home.
We prepped kind of knowing that it would be 65 or 75% Niner fans in the game. The Rams fans tried to be loud, but it was a sea of red for sure. And I vividly remember walking out and getting booed at home when we walked out for warm-ups, to get Matthew Stafford warmed up and ready to go. Mm-hmm. And I just remember feeling like, thank goodness we practiced the silent cadence because we're going to need it. It was hard to communicate at times in that game, and as the momentum swung back and forth, you could feel it in the stadium much different than you would say any game I've ever experienced at U.S. Bank Stadium when, we've got obviously the greatest fans on the planet. So it's definitely a different type of environment. Now, I'll say this, when we went there on Thursday night, one of the things that, caught us after a really fast start, scoring 2 touchdowns on our first 2 drives, Matthew Stafford and that offense was able to answer with touchdowns. And it did, the noise, affected us a little bit later on, maybe a little more so than we thought. So we've got to be prepared for that, not knowing exactly what it's going to be like. We always, are so wonderfully impressed with the way our Vikings fans travel and expect them to do that this week for a wild card game. But I will say, coming off of the environment we played in Sunday night this past week. That was as loud as I've heard many road stadiums. It wasn't quite U.S. Bank Stadium, but it was it was loud, and the energy in that building. So I think it was a great experience. Although we didn't play well, nearly well enough to win that game, I think it was a great experience for our team going now into the playoffs, where it might be a route being on the road to try to get to the ultimate goal.
So a couple of things off that. First and foremost, I mean, having 20,000 Vikings fans, wherever they come from at SoFi on Monday night, that's preferred, right?
Awesome. Yes. Very much preferred. Very much.
And you played at SDSU and lived in the San Diego area, Southern California, of course, our 3-2 where you coached. But correct me if I'm wrong here. I think the biggest national Vikings fan base is located in San Diego.
It's unbelievable.
I think it is, because I'm going to go back to 2003, down memory lane we go. Sun Devil Stadium, quarterback's coach Josh McCown, quarterback for the Cardinals, bumps the Vikings out of the playoffs. But the infiltration of Sun Devil Stadium that game by Vikings fans, it was 3/4 of the stadium was Vikings fans. Now, I mean, McGinnis is coaching his last game. I love Dave. Emmitt Smith's playing his final game. Cardinals were going nowhere. But the majority of them, I remember, were like, well, yeah, the San Diego-based Vikings fan club is the biggest in the country, so that might help a little bit.
5-hour drive over there.
5 hours is 90
Arizona.
minutes.
No,
Arizona, yeah.
Yeah, no, the Regal Seagull is the a big-time Vikings bar right there, and right where my hometown is, and owner of the bar is from right here in Minneapolis, and got a chance to meet him a few summers ago, and he sent me photos, and they've had 300-400 people in this little tiny place watching Vikings games,
right.
And they've got some bunch of memorabilia up on the wall. There's a bunch of them, he told me, throughout Southern California. It's kind of become a thing, and I can tell by the amount of, in addition to Bill and Suzanne O'Connell, the ticket requests have come in plentiful this week. So we're gonna do our part to
That's great.
Fill a few seats with some purple.
That's fantastic. Again, no sideline passes for the announcer. All right, 3-2. Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. I'm God's cartoon character. I'm designed to make you laugh after abnormal situations.
Yep.
And Sunday was abnormal. Losing to the Lions for anybody's not abnormal. They're good. And let's just start here. What is the coaching or leadership protocol on authentically tipping one's cap to an adversary? Yeah, I mean, they do a good job with that Lions bunch, don't they?
No, they do. And look, we picked a bad night to have a bad night, and that happens sometimes. And we put everything from a preparation standpoint into that game we possibly could. But when you go back and watch the tape, there's some uncharacteristic things that we did, me included, in that football game. And I think the best way and the best route that we took is, you were on that flight that landed just after 3:30 in the morning back here, and we brought in our team yesterday afternoon for a good chunk of time. Players wanted to be here, coaches wanted to be here. We went right to work as a staff, making sure we dove deep into that tape and really figuring out what were the things that were maybe outliers. Okay, great, but I think that would be naive for me as the head coach to look at any aspect of our team in that game and chalk it up to that. So we went to work, and we've identified some things that we can coach better. Players certainly, personal responsibility in it as well, right alongside us. And we're all in this together, and we've got to play better if we're going to have a chance to win on Monday night in L.A. We know that. And we've also got to realize that a lot of the things, I might have counted 6, 7, 8 passing plays in that game that if we get our standard operation of pitch and catch and just kind of what has made us go offensively this year, if we get that, 1 or 2 or 3 of those 7 or 8 plays, that game looks maybe a little bit different. We didn't. We've got to figure out why. Was it technique, fundamentals? Was it scheme? We certainly need to do a better job protecting Sam. He got hit a lot. And they had a game plan that had a nice mixture of pressure, but also Justin Jefferson program, and they balanced it. They did a nice job. They played really hard, at home in that home environment and energy. All that being said, we've got to do more offensively. We've got to run the football a little bit more consistently and better we were able to find some runs in the game, but I thought we could have done a better job there, as well as, defensively. I thought they played a great first half. I really did. And they just were, worn down by the lack of complementary football by our team in the game. And then special teams has to do their part, knowing field position, whether it's at the end of the half, whether it's just securing field position off of a couple earned first downs and playing. That's playoff football, and that matters. And we've won a lot of games that way with the formula of doing the things I just mentioned better than we did Sunday night. And the expectation is we're going to go to work and get right back to doing that on Monday night in L.A.
There's a lot of that. Okay, Dan Campbell, post-game press conference, or the one you do the day after, talking about Darnold, paraphrasing, is like, we had to take away his vision. I mean, it's like you let him sit back there and play pitch and catch, he's going to murder you. Everybody in the world's seen it. So, but then mixing things up too against somebody like you, that's hard. And the opportunities were there. So he had a cap tip, and to just the way the whole thing went. But moving forward, copycat league with the way McVay and that outfit operates defense. Yeah. I mean, obviously without divulging a game plan, is it like a mixture of that kind of what you expect?
Well, you're going to see, principles of it for sure. But, what makes each team in this league unique is personnel drives a lot of the scheme. Yep. And then ultimately you can try to do some things that maybe mirror and mimic what some other teams do. But this time of year, it can be hard to try to totally reinvent yourself based upon what you may have seen in a short sample size, small sample size. But we're definitely going to see some of the principles of it, that's for sure, and we've got to have answers for that. And in many cases, it comes down to all 11 guys, whatever phase, simply just doing their job at a really high level, and making sure that one play where maybe you do get edged, or the 3 technique beats you, and pressure Sam, when Aaron Jones might have a chance at a touchdown on a one-on-one versus a linebacker, or we've got a chance down there in the low red to finish with 7 points, which was, I thought, a critical, maybe the most critical part of the whole night was we weren't nearly our standard in the red zone, and that's why we lost the football game. But there was a lot of things that go into that. There's no one area to really point to. It clearly starts with me doing a better job having our team ready to execute regardless of circumstance, and that's the way I'm going about the week.
And see, I'm really glad you said that, because there are so many things on which people will hyper focus out of a game or a big game. Of
course.
Red zone's been talked about a lot. Goal to go's been talked about a lot. Understandably thought about a lot by yours truly, simply because I know, and I think people know too from following you closely enough, that if running a football team or winning games was your family, the red zone's your baby. I mean, and when I say baby or child, you're proud of it, because in the 3 up to that game, man, you've been inside the red zone 14 times. You had 11 touchdowns.
Yep.
That 11 for 14, just, you don't snap your fingers and it happens. Okay, we watch it back. There's Addison open, missed. There's Jefferson back right. Naylor, I assume, on a shallow cross at the goal line. So it was all there.
Yeah. But
when you see that's an abnormality from what we have seen. What were there more abnormalities where it's just like guys, holy cow, where'd that come from?
Yeah, there were some things that took place, in the field. I mean, even the first drive of the game, TJ we had converted the first third down. TJ's matched up one-on-one on Anzalone, and
middle of the field.
No, the outcut over on the boundary, and we'd probably thrown and caught that ball 9 or 10 times throughout the season. We're in different varieties in practice and in games. And we were 9 for 9 up until that moment, and then it's just a fingertip away from being an earned first down on their half of the 50 after the defense gets a stop. So I know what the final score was, and it got to a point there late in the game once we knew, we knew we were playing on Monday night. We knew it was probably going to be insurmountable. We had to start thinking about this game this week, and at that point it was tough. It was tough to have that type of opportunity out in front of us. We knew how excited not only our fan base was, but we were about the opportunity. We had basically played playoff football up until that game to try to make that game what it was.
Yep.
And we didn't play well in the moment, and we've got to make sure we extract whatever positive experience that we can then take with us through whatever journey's out in front of us here in the next month.
Monday's bigger than last Sunday. And the magnification of Sunday, I'm on board with it. Getting a 1 seed's cool, winning a division is
Absolutely.
cool. But there is a tomorrow. And,
Yep.
when we chatted, what was it, Saturday night or whatever, I don't bring that up because I don't want anybody to even get a no tomorrow in their mind or anything.
Yeah.
But there is a no tomorrow Tuesday.
Yep.
So now this is where the rubber meets the road, man. It's, certainly not to downplay the significance of that game. It was a big game. Didn't go the right way. Guess what? 14 others did. To be in a position to do what you're about to do, playing a playoff game on Monday. So I just want to land the plane on Darnold here and move on to some different things. I know you guys haven't practiced yet, but you said you met yesterday, and you probably have texted and talked about some things on the side up to this Rams game. So do you feel you have a hold on what played into Darnold's game at Detroit? Off that, it was an abnormality. It's the only way to look at it. Before you practice, difficult asking this question on a Tuesday, but do you feel you have a hold of it?
No, it's not a difficult question at all. Yes, the answer is yes. And I think, very similar to, a couple other instances throughout the season, Sam's maybe his best quality all season long is his ability to come in after a game successful, 5 touchdowns against Atlanta or, over 100 rating as many times as he had. He comes in the same way the day after the game. What I could have done better, where were the things that I need to improve on, whether success was had or ultimately we didn't have that success Sunday night. And we've been able to identify some things, both technique, fundamentals, how, the way the game kind of transpired. And like I said, in my opinion, he was hit too much. Part of that's on me. Part of that's on the execution of the other 10 guys in the huddle, and a lot of different reasons and schematic things for that. And also just flat out execution that I think we all know in this building we'll be better at. And the challenges are going to continue. We're playing a really good team and a good front. Good young front, explosive, all along that line of scrimmage.
Right.
But we've identified some things, and we're going to apply it not only to how we coach them, but I think we've got to apply it to how we put together the game plan. And what that means is a lot. Can't get into that right now, but I can tell you we're not doing our jobs unless we kind of uncover every stone and make sure we're putting our team in the best possible situation to go compete. Because like you said, we're now in that phase where it's, a single elimination tournament. Mm-hmm. And this is all you ever wanted was a chance to be in this moment, but it is absolutely time to make sure we play our best football.
And off that single elimination, no tomorrow scenario, of course, everybody knows Kevin O'Connell has won a Super Bowl offensive coordinator for the LA Rams. Head coach Sean McVay talked back Tuesday. We had somebody phone in, I believe, from Washington, D.C. and offer this.
Hey, Coach, it's Andrew. I'm currently living in Washington, D.C., originally from Minnesota, active duty Air Force. Shout out to Bo Richter, Air Force Academy. Just getting back from Detroit. Thank you for the Will family for the opportunity to get to that game at a reasonable price. Just want to ask you what you learned from Sean McVay at your time in that deep playoff and the Super Bowl win with the Rams, and how you can bring that into this run for the younger guys moving forward. Thanks. Skol.
Yeah, well, thank you, Andrew, first and foremost for your service. And
your second playoff berth, but he said run. So win, divisional round win, conference finals win, Super Bowl, get there, hopefully win. I think he's looking at run.
Yeah, well, it is a great question and a huge foundation of who I am as a head coach. PA, this is my time. I not only spent the 2 years with Sean, but I've known Sean for a long time, and going back, really to my first year coaching in this league. And I think Sean is perfect for this moment in time as somebody that's been a major impact on me, because the story of 2021 where that Niners team had given us a lot of trouble, and we play them incredibly tough. We've got a lead in that week 18, game 17 game, and they beat us. They beat us in overtime. Actually, Ambry Thomas, now in our practice squad, intercepts Matthew to end the game, and it was deflating. It was deflating, and although a couple other results went the way that we needed them to, where we still won the division, we lost that football game. We had won a good chunk. We had come here to beat the Vikings in a game. We had gone to Baltimore and won. We had really kind of solidified what was a shaky time in November for us. And then we won a lot of football games, lose that game to San Francisco, but I'll just never forget the mindset of our process and how we went about the week, how our team just continued to laser their focus on what it would take to win one game, and then all that goes into it, all the unique aspects of winning football games in this league against the variety of opponents you can play. I know Sean has an utmost amount of respect for what we do here and our team, and he knows that it's going to be a battle, and we expect the same. I mean, they're so well coached. They're going to have great game plans in all three phases against what we do, and we're going to try to do the same thing. That's what makes matchups like this special, because it takes truly your best, especially when you now have to go on the road to go do this. So it's going to take a lot of things, PA, that I believe I've been really emphasizing for a long time.
Yeah.
If it was a change from me, from the messaging that helped us get to 14-3, just because the result didn't go the way we wanted, I told our team yesterday, we acknowledged it. We have to do that. We have to watch the tape and not have thin skin on what happened, me included. And then we've got to move forward. And we've got to move forward with the best possible week of preparation we can and have the confidence that we're a team that won a lot of football games with very, very different ways in a lot of weeks, but at the same time, a lot of core principles that mattered, and that's what we've tried to build here. And I know leaving that team meeting room yesterday, there was a lot of juice and energy and a confident team to go have our best week yet.
Aaron Jones, Kevin O'Connell, X's and O's, 9 to noon, KFAN. Aaron Jones, from either seeing it or hearing it from you and or others, his positive intangibles have been ever present. Yep. I mean, 9 or 10 out of 10 with that. Now, when he gets nicked up during games and is in and out, how much, if any, does that impact game calling or offensive flow? And again, it's, you can see limited or DNP or full on the practice sheet. Really, none of us know exactly how much they did or how little. So, like, if you're putting a lot of time into somebody during the week, then they're in and out during the game. What type of impact is that?
Yeah, Aaron is one of our highly impactful players, and thought he was running the ball really well the other night. We couldn't, use him at kind of the rate we wanted as the game went on for some reasons that kind of took place in game. And I thought Cam stepped in and had some really impactful carries, the long run there, and a couple other ones with some really hard-nosed, tough running. But Aaron he's a weapon, whether we're throwing him the ball, whether we're handing him the ball, using him on some of those third downs and different aspects of moving the football. When we don't have him in there, PA, it changes. It changes a little bit, and we've got to adapt, and we've got to adjust and still figure out different ways to consistently move the football. There's no...
Cam got you 58.
Yeah, exactly.
That was so sweet.
And, there was... I almost ran on the field at that point to try to help seal the last block to get him in the end zone, knowing the red zone awaited the way the night had gone. But ultimately,
that's great.
Aaron's super impactful. There's a reason why. I know we've joked about it, but I was willing, when we found out it was possible to bring him here, I envisioned, I think he went over maybe 1,500 all-purpose yards the other day. Just super impactful as a featured player in our offense. It's been... I can't even put into words what he's meant to me this year, for sure.
Just a few here to close with KO, Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. You get any texts on Sunday wondering if you have a partial no trade in your contract, and if so, which teams have you eliminated? Pop up on Sunday. Not that you're thinking about a game that night or anything.
Yeah, I would say there was a few text messages that came in. I was trying to figure out what happened, but yeah, no, it was definitely a unique kind of aspect of the pregame. Had no impact whatsoever on Sunday night.
And I asked that to set this up. When something outside, I ran a play to set up a play in the third quarter.
There you go.
Let's see if it works. When something outside of a game pops up from off the beaten path, is it easy to make it elevator music where it's like there, but you don't listen to it? I got something bigger right in front of me.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is, because, no matter what, I would not be who I strive to be on a daily basis around here if I wasn't totally and completely present, locked in the moment. And our players deserve that. Our coaching staff deserves that. All those fans that traveled to Detroit into a hostile environment deserve that.
Yeah.
For sure. Look, I absolutely love the Minnesota Vikings. I love being the coach of this team. And there's there's not very many things out there besides the Los Angeles Rams this week that are on my mind. I can promise you that.
Verse Fisk Turner, the Rams. What's formidable about the LA front?
I just think it's what they've been able to do. I mean, Verse is really shown to be incredibly impactful. Power. We experienced that. Losing Christian Darrisaw right before halftime and having to, in game, that halftime window seemed awfully short that day, trying to figure out basically a new game plan on the fly. And now knowing we're going into it with Cam really having solidified that left side. But you talk about Fisk has really had a really impactful second half to his rookie season. I think, obviously, across the board, there's just impactful players, whether it's Turner, obviously,
Jared Verse?
The other outside, the kid from Tennessee.
Let's go ahead and figure that out for you. Not Michael Heck.
Number 0.
Young. Face mask guy. Byron Young.
Yeah, I'm glad I forgot that play until you just brought it up.
Face mask guy.
But when you just watch the way they play, PA, it's you have to have answers for a lot of things. They do some unique things with their fronts, and they use different players and a lot of stand-up fronts, different things. So we've got to, from a protection standpoint, not just coming off of last week, but over the course of a full season of inventory, we've got to be at our best, identifying who we need to block and make sure we've got a great plan to handle some of those pressure points that personnel-wise they can bring, and it's going to be a big part of the game, keeping Sam upright and letting him do his thing.
Okay, and lastly, with the Rams coming up on the horizon, 7 o'clock for the Boom on KFAN, Monday night, 5 o'clock for the pregame. How much compared to last time, that Thursday night, Kevin, does it matter having recent film on Nakua and Cup? I mean, you guys, your intel's generally 9.8 out of 10.
Yeah.
So you kind of knew they were going to play, and here they both play. But you didn't have recent film on them. Does that make a difference?
It wasn't even that. It was, you speak of the intel. They didn't actually open
Nakua
up his window until the day of the game, and then he was activated on the same, on the same day. So.
Must have been running on the beach.
Had it not been a short week, and I'm sure there wasn't a lot of full-speed practice reps for them that week, it would have been a little bit harder to do that, much like, even with the Lions with Anzalone being able to come back and play almost every snap, which was remarkable in the football game. We had a good idea that was going to take place. There was truly, short week. You think about the Lions game that happened that Sunday, and then really 3 days later, we're getting on a flight to go to L.A. So a little bit different circumstances this time around, and that's normal for the playoffs. Your cards are kind of dealt face up at this point, and everybody kind of knows what we're dealing with, and then it just comes down. Playoff football comes down to such little details and the discipline of those details in the moment, snap after snap after snap. And the team that does those things just a little bit better, PA, is going to win the football game.
Into games, distractions are magnified this time of the year, right?
Yeah.
And I would imagine part of hiring the people you've hired, like reports, Flores, Bears may be interested in him.
Yep.
Jets could be interested in Josh McCown. And hey, Vikings and a bunch of teams were interested in Kevin O'Connell before you won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's so important, I would imagine, knowing, we got doors closed down that hallway. What are they doing? You can't think twice about that, right? Just because obviously the game matters most. Yep. It's like a thigh, not an eye. The thigh is the group. The eye is the next job. And that plays into people that you bring in, right?
Yeah, and I think, the experience that I had, I felt an obligation to the team that I worked for, with the opportunity we had out in front of us, with the opportunity we had earned to be, in the tournament and have a chance to win a world championship in 2021. That regardless of whatever opportunities may be out there, my mindset was, I'm going to be prepared and ready for that when that time is right. But
yes, sir.
If it requires me to not do my job currently well, or not give it the focus that it needs, then I'm probably not prepared for that job in the first place. So that's my belief on that.
Yep.
And you don't have to say anything to Brian Flores. I mean, when he got his previous head coaching opportunity, it was in a direct route to winning a world championship, basically as the play caller in New England at the time. So I don't worry one bit about that. Josh has been phenomenal all season long. such a huge role in what Sam has been able to do this year. And I know as Josh lives his life right where his feet are planted, and there was a huge reason why I wanted to bring him to Minnesota, and I hope Vikings fans just know what kind of job Josh McCown has done this year for us, because it's been special.
I love our chats.
Yep.
Thank you. And I'll see you later this week, all right?
No doubt.
Kevin O'Connell with X's and O's, courtesy of KFAN. Back after this.
The Vikings are in L.A. to face the Rams in the first round of the playoffs. Monday at 7 on the audio home for Vikings football. FM 100.3 KFAN. The Fan. Powered by Hy-Vee.
Your Vikings are in the playoffs, and that means more chances to feast with us. Join PA and Charch this Friday at Buffalo Wild Wings in Savage for a playoff football feast. Join us as we get you set for the first round of the playoffs against the Los Angeles Rams. Doors open at 8 a.m. Get the full details now at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Hey, we got some Bikes Bites for you. We thank Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings for having Kevin come here each and every Tuesday for elongated conversations. That bad boy right there is about 30 minutes, and we got into a lot of things with the KO. You'll be able to watch it back on Vikings.com, listen to it back at KFAN.com if you missed any part. But now it's post time for Bikes Bites.
Vikes Bites is presented by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. And you can shop online, Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. Shop online, a box of meat will show up at your doorstep. Or you can go to your local Coborns, your local co-ops. Yep. They're a Clearwater, Minnesota-based company. Matt and everybody there, awesome people, and they've been tremendous partners in Vikes Bites. They also sponsor Gopher Athletics.
Last time I had a box of meat show up at my house, it cost me about $1,100 and changed my life, and it had nothing to do with steak. But anyway.
Why?
No, you're stealing my bit. Well done. You nailed me. Well done. You're stealing a bit that I stole from Dark Star, where when he would, God rest his soul, when he was on 830 WCCO as Dark Star at 9 to 1 just for fun, he would have, when he would have a guest on, and like there was a question he either didn't understand or didn't like, he'd say, well, why? And then they will, why? What's that mean? And he just kept going with it, and you just nailed me with a bit that I stole from Dark.
Off that conversation with Kevin O'Connell, there was, and I posed this yesterday, kind of what the mental aspect is of the way that things transpired on Sunday, and then right back into the mix. It's a Monday nighter against McVay, a team you lose to earlier. This is more of a statement than a Vike bite, but it's more than a morsel for me because I really wanted to see it in person with the coach. Yeah. He's freaking ready for Monday.
That's interesting you say that about question and statements, because I had somebody make 6 statements to me last night and then get frustrated when I didn't answer. And I'm like, well, how do you answer statements? I mean, you ask somebody a question, you answer questions, but statements are statements, and they don't always require a response. But anyway, what was your take?
Well, how is Howard from Chicago doing?
Oh, geez, just great. Sent a bunch of taffy for my birthday, and I'm sprouting a 4th chin as we speak.
Why?
Simply because 4th chins are in, along with the return of plaid and corduroy.
I don't know what you felt from the coach, but it was an important, and of course, he's going to be here. I know he's ready, but maybe this makes sense, maybe it doesn't. The idea of we know what he saw from Sam. We know there was frustration there. There has to be. That's inevitable. But how composed he is, and I feel if you were ever in a moment where you feel like the coach has the answer, I feel like Kevin O'Connell has the answer to what took place Sunday and what needs to happen on Monday. Do you agree?
But truly not off. Down memory lane we go, 9 to 1 just for fun. I'm Dark Star, George Hutton Chapel. Seriously, what led you to that vibe off what he was saying, about being completely dialed in for this game, and most importantly, putting the dejection of what transpired Sunday behind him and us?
Well, ultimately, over the course of the interview, we joke about it a little bit, but there's truth in it that eventually, if the head coach talks long enough, he's going to tell you a little bit about where his head is at on certain issues, and I don't believe that I'm wrong in that regard.
You're the best.
And so
you are.
when he's talking about the issues that exist, and you can just kind of watch him nodding along and following. You were laying out some things in the red zone, and this guy was here, that guy was there.
Yeah.
And you see how steady and measured he is about the confidence in the plan.
Yeah.
There has to be a confidence in the plan, and it goes back to the way I laid it out with Gessling earlier. This is a team and a quarterback that needs to remember that he threw 35 TDs.
Yeah.
This is a team that has to remember that they saw adversity earlier in the year into a short week against those Rams, in fact, earlier this season. The confidence in the plan, I feel, is what has led me down that road where I think the coach is going to be ready on Monday night. I just need the QB to be right there with him.
Oh, you could not, for my taste, the way I look at things, you could not have laid that out any more beautifully. The only thing I can add is just, again, off not what others have said, but just like what my vibes are. And why I go back to what my vibes are is because I want to go down either being right with something that I've come up with on my own or wrong. And a long time ago when the Minnesota Vikings signed Sam Darnold, and all the conversations we were having, we've come full circle where the first thing I said was, all of the pressure here is on Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Okay. O'Connell and this group have shown what they can do. The receivers have shown what they can do. Jones has shown what, okay, this is the reclamation project. Yes, there's a certain degree of pressure that is on those constructing the monster, but to get to the monster, the positive monster is the reclamation project. Sam is the one that needs to embrace it and come through. And he did. Well, now the step back was so palpable when you watch things back. And O'Connell hit on one that I didn't even know existed, a potential touchdown to Aaron Jones that he brought up that I hadn't seen. You know, I'm like, well, you got Jefferson here and Addison here and Naylor here and Hawkinson here. All right, so let's make it 5. That there may have been 5 wide open missed touchdowns.
Oof.
That's not on the staff.
No, it is not.
Now, some of it, O'Connell went down a road that I hadn't heard. And yeah, I know the protection wasn't as good as it had been, for instance, in the Green Bay game where it was like B+, A minus-ish. So, okay, well, again, that's on Sam because it's not the first time in your career that you've been blitzed. It's not the first time in your career you've been hit. And so therefore the onus of the pressure off what we've seen from the past performances for years of those putting the play in, but for months from those delivering, from the individuals delivering, we know how it's supposed to work and against whom. Whether it's starting a game at SoFi with Oliver and Sherfield, or you're starting a game with Addison, Jefferson, and Hawkinson and the ballyhooed names.
Yep.
So the pressure's on Sam Darnold. Most of it is on, he's going back home to Southern California. He's from San Clemente.
Ooh.
And it's a different form of pressure than a non-playoff game that everybody treated like a playoff game because the one was at stake. And I understand that. But this is different because after Sunday, there was a tomorrow. After Monday, there ain't no tomorrow.
No, there's not.
And now all of a sudden, we're thinking about what we're going to make from whom and where. You know what I'm saying here?
Oh, yeah. And then lastly,
so you laid it out perfectly, bro.
Final Vike Bite, thank you, Thousand Hills, and you hit it on it there. Just a final dagger in this. If he talks long enough, you hear it.
Beef.
2 different occasions, he absolutely fawned over that defensive front.
Yeah.
On another separate occasion, he mentioned while looking back at the Lions game that the quarterback may have been hit too much.
Yep.
I think if there's something that's drawing his ire after losing games, after not succeeding in the red zone,
wow.
I think he wants more from the Minnesota Moving Company on Monday night in a huge way.
I'm going to jot this down on a Post-it note, and we're going to get into it tomorrow. Because you're right. But I believe there's another layer to it that's going to cause internal conflict for the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. And he will do the right thing. At the end of the equation, they're and I'm not sitting here preaching like you have to do this with something. I don't know how it works. I'm not a head coach, man. I'm just telling you that he likes to throw. As we all saw, despite the loss, the throwing game's good. These guys are different than Pat O'Connor, Josh Paschal, and DJ Reader. All right? And it's going, and McVay, and God bless Dan Campbell, but McVay's gotten to where everybody wants to get, and Campbell has not.
Yeah.
And Campbell and that staff do good work. O'Connell and this staff do good work. But there are going to be multiple things for Kevin to battle into this game. And I think two of the most pertinent ones are one you hit on, one I'll share tomorrow. And it involves internal conflict for Kevin O'Connell with his offensive staff. It's not a bad thing. It's just a matter of what to do and when. And I'm going to write this thing out. We'll get into it tomorrow. Don't leave. Be right back.
And
What do you think of that Green Bay and Philadelphia game?
Yeah, I think, and regardless of Jalen Hurts still being in concussion protocol, that looks specifically the NFC playoff games, and these things can get weird. No tomorrow, as we've been talking about, all of that. Yeah, it seems like the most obvious one where the home team just handles business, and it's dysfunctional. We've chronicled it. The teeter-totter or toes over the edge of a giant cliff that, it seems to be that Nick Sirianni lives on from a cultural, temperamental, just the up and down and instability that is there. Mm-hmm. That whole thing can be freaking out at any time. But it's Jalen, man. It's Saquon. It's A.J. Brown. And specifically, you have Cooper DeJean and you have Jalen Carter and that defensive front where I think they've mostly, with Vic Fangio running that thing, they've effectively kind of moved into the next generation of defensive big-timers with that Eagles defense. As, it's Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox, of course, as they usher out. Some of these guys, and the fat guys in the middle for the Eagles are still very good. And so I tend to lean that the inconsistency with which the Packers have existed over the last month, I would say. Yeah. I think they lose, and I actually kind of think it's kind of a butt kicking.
In closing, would you believe sports books or online places to bet sports, legally or not?
Yeah.
Do you believe those entities are in business to lose money?
No, they are not.
Okay, so therefore, they obviously follow it closely, right?
Absolutely, they do.
Point spreads are established on a power rating. You get 3 points, consider 3 for home. That's antiquated. That's not the case. It's ever changing depending on the home team. Injuries, there are a lot of algorithms and factors that go into that button push known as send to put a line out there, knowing people are going to bet their money into it.
I agree.
So the Vikings, correct me if I'm wrong, they lost to the Rams earlier this year, right?
They did.
And on Sunday Night Football, a high-powered offensive team went without a touchdown, right?
That is correct.
Everybody saw it?
Yes.
Okay, and they opened up 2.5-point favorites at the Rams in the playoffs. It quickly got bet down to 1.5, and now it's back to 2. They're still favored.
Really?
Interesting. Very interesting. That's very interesting.
Yes, it is indeed.
Because those entities don't like losing money. Okay, cool. That's good. Great job today. I'm Paul Allen. Thank you very much for listening. John Hines, coach of the Minnesota Wild, opens 9 to noon tomorrow. We can't wait. Hopefully you're excited, too. Here comes the program, or Ben Johnson. Take your pick. Who do you like?
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.